There are over a billion of Indians alive today, but some are Indians more Indian than others. This is the very beginning line of the recently book that was published by Sasi Tharoor in 2022. In this book, Sasi Tharoor explores what it means to be an Indian and what is patriotism, what is liberalism, and he molded all these concepts in one book. And his main argue against for making this video is to counteract on those so-called nationalists and those so-called makers of Hindutva nation. This is the book I received today, and I'm going to start this book from today to know the answer of question that what it takes to be an Indian, and it is very uh, it is very clear from the heading of this book, The Battle of Belonging, which says that uh, what it takes to be a patriotic nation of a country with 140 crore people living in a nation. And the Sasi Tharoor explores hotly contested ideas of nationalism, patriotism, citizenship, and belonging. And in the course of his study, he explains with nationalism is and can be revealed who is anti-national and what patriotism actually means, and explores the nature and future of Indian nationhood. He explains all that, and this book is divided into 6 sections. The book starts off by exploring historical and contemporary ideas of nationalism, patriotism, liberalism, democracy, and humanism, many of which emerged in the West in the 18th and 19th century, and which quickly spread all over the world, except some countries like China and Russia and North Korea and several other countries. But the idea of whether it is of nationalism, patriotism, democracy, liberalism, all these ideas was largely can be seen in the world today, and he emphasized on the idea that today the battle is between two opposing ideas of India, or what might be described as ethno-religious nationalism versus civic nationalism, and the struggle for India's soul has heightened, deepened, and broadened, he said, and threatens to hollow out and destroy the remarkable concepts of pluralism, secularism, and inclusive nationhood that were bestowed upon the nation at independence. And in the back of this book, it is all explained as if you can call it overview, that the institutions were weaponized against opposition in our country, in our country what were called the largest democracy of the world. And he says that the current regime, the NDA government, hollow out and destroy the remarkable concepts of pluralism, and secularism, and inclusive nationhood that were bestowed upon other national independence. The constitution is under siege, institutions are being undermined, mythical past propagated, universities assaulted, uh, mm, minorities demonized, and wars. Every passing years, you can see the attacks on several remarkable sites of our country in the name of what we call so-called Hindutva ideology. And Sasi Tharoor emphasized on several other things, that he said that if they succeed, millions will be stripped of their identity, and bogus theories of Indianness will take root in the soil of the subcontinent. However, all is not yet lost, he said, and this erudite and lucid book shows us what will need to be done to win the battle of belonging and strengthen everything that is unique and valuable about our country, India. And he firmly anchored in incontestable scholarship, yet passionately and fiercely argued, The Battle of Belonging is a book that unambiguously establishes what true Indianness is and what it means to be a patriotic and nationalistic Indian in the 21st century. So, this is the book that I'm going to read now on, and I will notify with you that what are the ideas that Sasi Tharoor is talking about in this book, and what can we learn from it, and how can we beware of the so-called propaganda of Hindutva ideology, of false narration, of messages of WhatsApp University. We should be beware of them, because there is a news that I heard just perhaps some couple of months ago, which says that since 2020, in the last year, the hate speech was rose to 74% in our country. And hate speech, you may not think it has much effect on masses, but it has a devastating effect on mass of lots of people, because there are hundreds and thousands of irrational people living in our country. And why I would say that those irrational? Because they don't have any capability to question the government, to question the news that they hear from Godi media, from so-called nationalist supporters, so-called nationalist creators on available on, whether it is on YouTube or Instagram. They're available propagating false size of false face of Hinduism, and insulting the Hinduism as well. And and he said that this book is for everyone. And The Financial Times reviewed this book as saying that this book is not what you read in one sitting. This book not can be understand in second sitting, if you read it second times or third time or fourth times. This book is constantly read, and this book is for to ask yourself whether you are corrupted by the media, which always propagates the propaganda of ruling government. And there are thousands and millions of followers of that particular party, which gives hate speech, and there is no any action took against them. And if you follow news, and if you didn't follow much news, then you can look at things that not considered to be happened in a democracy, and not even in what we proudly called ourselves as the world's largest democracy. And if we are the largest democracy, I always question to the people who claim that we are in the democracy, that if we are in the democracy, then why we put in press freedom index on the rank of 141, 144, 150, and with whom we are competing on that list, on that index, press freedom index. We are competing with China, we are competing with Russia, we are competing with Pakistan, a country where military controls all over the country. China, a dictator regime, a communist dictatorship regime, where censorship is much more than any country, perhaps except North Korea or some country. We are competing with Russia, the authoritarian regime, where there is only one leader and the sole leader of the country, Vladimir Putin. So we are competing with these countries, and how can we call ourselves, I ask to all those peoples who consider itself as the living in the democracy, that how can we say ourselves that we are living in democracy, that we are living in the largest democracy of the world, if your press freedom is not in the even top 50? And this is not the what you call this is not the condition of our only country, India. On the onset of right-wing party all over the world, whether it is in Italy, Giorgia Meloni, whether it is in France, Emmanuel Macron, whether it is in USA, Donald Trump, these leaders try to control media. When Donald Trump came into power, the first thing that he did was to file several defamation cases against New York Times, Wall Street Journal. Even Wall Street Journal paid somewhat $70 million to Donald Trump to take back case against them. So you can see there is a large attack on journalists, on news channels. And in India, just in 2025, 4 journalists were killed. 4 local journalists were killed. And what are their crime? Their crime is that they exposes the area in which they live. They exposes the corruption that were made on their area, whether it is on hospital, on roads. Like you must have heard about one of the corrupt system that exposes by Mukesh Chandrakar. He was killed by a Congress leader, a Congress party leader. And recently, a journalist living in Uttarakhand exposes somewhat, or perhaps a road construction, a corrupted road construction, which was completely destroyed, which was completely eroded away when floods came. So he exposed it, and he disappeared after that, after 1 to 3, and his body was found somewhere, just somewhere, somewhat 3 to 4 kilometers from his home. And there is no any rise of what were called, and there is no any rise of anger against government to ask the government to take a severe inquiry on this issue. So it is not that government is able to do all the thing. It is what the people are of our country. We are the people whom when a batsman of in our country, when any Indian batsman will not make run, we criticize him. We told him, we asked him why you didn't make run, but we didn't. We are the people who didn't ask questions to the politicians what the error they did, that after every monsoon the road becomes what we call potholes. Either there are the potholes on the road or the road on the potholes. You cannot distinguish between it. And when you ask questions, it is a new fashion that can be seen from perhaps from 2016 or perhaps 2018 in the Modi government. If you ask questions, you are considered anti-national. If you ask questions about any particular topic, whether it is of very much importance, but you are considered as anti-national, you are considered as that you are funded from any foreign any foreign organization like George Soros, something like that. So it is concerning for all of us, because you know I think there has been a quote saying that there is no any dictator who was born, like there is no Hitler who said people to that I will be a dictator. When the people of a country started to devoting its ministers, then there will be a rise of dictators. And I think if we do not question government, if like in the case of Sonam Wangchuk, a man who made thousands of things which will help India, who made a resting place for Indian army in Ladakh so that they can live better, now considered as anti-national. Even government releases a press brief which says that all this before all this violence, Sonam Wangchuk is the sole responsible for it. So you can know the mentality of this government. And if you look at the past incident, whether it is train derailment or any other paper leak, there is no any resignation of any leaders. Even the defense minister Rajnath Singh called that no leader will relinquish its post, will resign from its post. So you can show the insolence of these leaders. I think that's enough for me to talk about. I can speak on these topics for half an hour and 2 hours, but that doesn't make much difference if you didn't do anything, something that challenges government. Government should be fearful of people. And I think we have forgotten the mudda, that was the agenda which was carried out by Rahul Gandhi, the vote chore. I think the country forgets what it takes to be to what is meaning of vote chori. Thank you very much.